Hey, excited to be here. E-commerce Redneck show. And by the way, that song is from the Bo Hodges band. That is my best friend's band. And they were a Las Vegas band. Anyhow, really great song called Country Boy. But today I have a great guest. His name is Douglas Campbell, and he is brilliant with both e-commerce and AI. And he is has actually started his own podcast, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But without any further ado, let's bring him on. Douglas, how are you doing,
Jeremy, good
brother?
to see you, old buddy.
Yeah. Well, me and you are a part of a men's group called Metal, which is great. There's a lot of AI stuff in there and groups, but man, I am really excited to have you on today. Everybody is talking about AI this, AI that. But you have experience both in e-commerce and you have experience in AI. And so I would love to really just get as much information as possible on the things that are going on in your head right now. So,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on, Jeremy. I mean, come on, 2023 was a wild year.
yeah.
My background is formally trained as a designer. I got into right around 2002 web design. I realized I could take my laptop and that was my factory and I could work from anywhere. So I was actually a digital nomad before there was a term for it back in
Yeah.
2002, 3, traveled all through Asia, paying my way by building websites at the time for my friends who were all designers and artists and everyone needed a website.
Right.
So it was really a great time. And that's really what led me into a whole series of things, like where I met the community that we met through. So the metal community, I was doing an event series in Los Angeles that brought together all types of business folks and designers and scientists. It was kind of like a TED Talks for our age group. And so that's
Hmm.
where I met a lot of my like real connections in LA, and also all the while still continuing to do my digital web design,
Hmm.
branding, branching out into some e-com stuff, just really figuring out how that we could really generate income through these online channels. It was just so freeing.
Right.
And yeah, so during COVID, I got obviously off of the events for a while, got back into really deep into the digital marketing, whole customer journey
Hmm.
type of thing. And just when I was like, this whole industry needs a little bit of a revitalization in late 2022, chat AI, I mean, generative AI and AI in general have been around for a while, but not on a consumer level. And I
Hmm.
think when ChatGPT hit the market and public started using it and finding out what it was good for, and how then it just precipitated all this change across all these industries. It's just been a profound year, and I don't think
Right.
2024 is going to be slowing down anytime soon.
No, I don't either. I am seeing more really cool stuff than I've ever seen before. Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of almost an Alice in Wonderland type moment, where it seems too good to be true at times, and I'm sure at times it is. But there's also a lot of really solid stuff out there that works really well with AI.
Yeah, there is a lot of hype also. There's a lot of utility, a lot of fun, a lot of creativity, a lot of hype. Every day, I don't know, if you're on any of
Yeah,
the AI, every day there's this one's got 10 new tools, this one's got 20 new tools.
it's
Here's
gonna
a
change
thousand.
everything.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, a lot of these companies are either just skins, pretty simple skins of a LLM or chat model like ChatGPT. Also a lot of them are, I would say, smoke and mirrors. Maybe they got some AI in there. A lot of companies are throwing the word around. The truth of the
Hmm.
matter is, I just saw a recent report that only 5% of really companies, only 5% are actually using AI in any meaningful way, which
Right.
means that not only does not everybody or less few people know what to do with it, which we can get into in a little bit, it also means that there's a huge opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything from SEO to products to chat to all sorts of FAQs. I mean, there's all
Oh,
sorts of things. I've seen it where it rewrites your product descriptions, which for coming in from a source and having the exact product description they gave you and having that be able to be changed. That's incredible, and done accurately.
Done accurately, I think, is the name of the game. So yeah, like you say, it can be used across the entire digital marketing spectrum, the e-com spectrum, for all your bits and pieces. And for example, we had one client that had thousands of products that just needed proper tagging with the alt tags.
Hmm.
Talk about a pain in the ass, right? So
Right.
there we go. It's analyzing images and it is putting in alt tags. It's
Wow.
revamping product descriptions with the tone of your company. So, for example, you can have a giant spreadsheet of your data and you can run those cells through individual API calls. So, take one column, produce an entire next column with whatever you want, right? And
Right.
so, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So,
Right. Right.
I recently saw a funny thing that if you go on, I forget exactly the term, but if you go on to Google and you search for particular websites, big e-com websites, and you
Right.
look for something like against the terms of OpenAI's policy, like in
Uh-huh.
quotation, well, somebody who was doing this for enterprise client did not check the cells, and apparently something along the way triggered a response that was not what they wanted,
Wow.
and so a whole bunch of the cells for like the product titles or descriptions, it was like a table or something. I don't even know. It was a pretty like innocuous thing, but apparently somewhere along the way, OpenAI's flag had been triggered, and so the
Oh,
product and
wow.
description name were completely inaccurate. They were just like a warning, and someone had put those onto the
Wow.
store
Yeah.
without checking. So there's some best practices, and a lot of these apparent AI agencies are not always managing the best practices very
Well,
well.
I think especially now with like the hallucinations that you get and all of the quirkiness like that can come along, I think it's really important that you have a stop to be able to look at the AI content, and anything that's going out there needs to be reviewed, period. Uh,
You need quality control. I mean, that's the thing. These AIs are amazing. They're helping us in huge ways, but there needs to still be a human involved, at least for now.
right,
There's aspects
right.
that it's missing. Sometimes it gets inaccurate, and yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
I definitely think it's gonna get creepy though. It
it
really
is.
will. They're gonna get so good that they are going to be able to do a lot of this work with a greater level of trust ongoing. I
Right.
absolutely believe that. I mean, one of the simplest things that I use it for is, when I get excited about something, I tend to be extremely forward, and not everybody appreciates how forward I am. So what I do is I will sit there and write the most scathing email ever, and then I'll put it into Chat GPT and I'll say, make this nice. This is the purpose. And it'll rewrite it. Now it might get one or two facts wrong, but in general, it makes me a pretty nice guy. So I'm surprised by that. And then if you have the paid version of Chat GPT, you actually also have the ability to use Dolly now. So
Yeah. Yeah, right from within the chat. It's actually a
right.
big development. And so in terms of creepiness, I want to just touch on that because all of this stuff is going to have the bright side and the dark side, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
recently they just showed how, I mean, they've been showing all sorts of things like how they can decipher whale language with AI,
Oh,
how they
wow.
can put thoughts into text. If you're thinking about like a giraffe, they can, if you're wearing a brain cap, they can scan. Another one with the same brain cap they were experimenting with, maybe a different technology, but similarly non invasive, is it can read your brain signals and give paralyzed patients or stroke victims
Oh, wow.
movement again of cyborg limbs, right?
Oh,
But what's the
see,
flip side
see,
of all
this is what I love though about
that? Yeah,
this kind of technology is the ability that it unlocks.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And there's going to be the flip side too. Like, how far does it have to go until your thoughts are being read? So something that can be helpful becomes used for nefarious
Right.
deeds. My buddy was like, "Well,
You
you
don't
know
want to
what?"
read my thoughts, I promise.
Yeah, my buddy was like, so I run a podcast called the Intelligence AI Report,
Yeah.
with gents, and my buddy was just saying, was like, well, that's going to be used for porn, right? I mean, when you can actually really record your thoughts, or like play back your thoughts, or actually really feel when it starts to become like immersive. And I said, listen, way better porn than the military usage. I would say probably it's, someone in their dark room doing weird things is way better than going around bombing the place with drones. And the reality is actually it's probably going to be all of the above and a whole lot more. So it's
Right,
coming into
right.
our lives socially, it's coming into our lives professionally, romantically, people with chatbot, romances. It's really bizarre time, but even
That
just bringing
that is some odd stuff. That
uh,
kind of reminds me of that movie where the guy falls in love with the robot. I don't
right.
even know. I don't remember who the actor was. Was that Radcliffe or the?
Um, there was I think it was,
No,
oh,
it was the guy that played the Joker,
yeah,
Phoenix,
Joaquin
Joaquin
Phoenix, and
Phoenix.
yeah, and I forget what
He
it was called.
he's
Okay,
just a really good creepy guy.
yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so here's the thing that was a big development, and a lot of people don't realize it. So obviously, ChatGPT launched to the public sometime late 2022. Late 2023, they made an announcement that was also just as huge, also very big, at least, not maybe as huge as the launch, but huge in that you can build these things if you have the paid version called custom GPTs.
Okay.
If you have the paid version, you can both build them and access them because people started going wild. And basically, what they are, if you don't know, if your listeners don't know, is it's like your own version of ChatGPT, which sits on top of it, almost like an app. If ChatGPT is the operating system, it sits on top like an app that has its own instructions, that has its own knowledge, that can even connect to APIs, which is basically a tech term for how technology systems can communicate with each other. So, for example, a very simple example of this, you could say, I want to make like something fun. I want to make sort of a poetry GPT that speaks in a pirate tone. Very simple set of instructions. You can literally program it just by speaking in your text or typing in your text,
Hmm.
which is so fascinating. It's like language this itself is the new programming language. But then you can get more advanced. And it, well, by the way, and it just sits there like your pirate poet and it speaks things out. But you can add other things. You can add documents to it. It becomes maybe your bot for your author. So
Oh
I
wow.
have an
Yeah.
author called Dougie Lux. It's my pseudonym. I can upload Dougie Lux's bibliography there, get it to speak in the first person, and it becomes Dougie Lux bot. And so now it can
Oh
point you
wow.
toward where to buy things. It can give you quotes. It can talk about all sorts of things related to the author. There's another example. But on a more advanced example, they are making, and I haven't done ones this advanced, but Canva, for example, launched one.
Right,
And
right,
you can go in there and just start designing right in ChatGPT your Canva designs and then open them up into Canva, right? And so
right.
you're starting all this stuff in ChatGPT. And I think like where that translates to business too is you can create these bots even specifically for your business,
Right.
internal teams, external. And I'd love to talk to you about that. And just to wrap up, the big announcement was that now they have their own custom GPT store. And the way it works currently is that there's going to be a revenue share. So if you've created one of the most popular GPTs, which some of these are so utilitarian that thousands of people are using them, and OpenAI is now going to revenue share with those folks.
I admittedly had to force myself just now not to try to look that up because yeah, as soon as you said it, I'm like, "Oh, there's yeah, this could be
Yeah,
fun, you know."
right.
And you know, essentially what it's doing is it's giving a non-code way of basically people being able to create apps, right?
Yeah,
Things that will interact and give information in a certain way. And that's really how I see a lot of the e-commerce thing going is around information, around you know, how things work, integrations, you know, which, you
yeah,
know, when you have like Shopify, right? Shopify has a ton of apps, right? So if you need an app, likely there's one in there. But what if you could tie it into the API for Shopify and change things, you know, and or
yeah,
big commerce, which tends to be really good, has a really good API and is really good for like integrations. You know, a lot of these people in agencies, I could see them moving towards, you know, building integrations through something like this, especially as it becomes better and better, right? As it
Right.
becomes more precise, you know. I know early on there were some issues when you would ask it questions about certain things, but with the ability to go out and grab from the web now, that
Yeah.
kind of, you know, that changed everything.
Exactly. Yeah, so you can, it's integrated already in the paid version. Bing, Microsoft's search engine, is
Hmm.
already integrated. Dolly is integrated. A few other things are naturally built in there. So you can,
Wow.
for example, just search the web and perform, for example, on a business level, you could perform analysis of your company versus other companies just by sending them the link. One thing that I'm building right now, and I want to say too, because these custom GPTs, for example, are not really robust enterprise solutions. These are great tools. I
Right.
would never, I would maybe, so I'll just say one of the things that I'm building right now is something called a brand bot, and it completely
Hmm.
understands your brand, your business, your target audience, their problems, your solutions, all of your offerings that you offer them, all of your authority, your team, about your mission, all that kind of stuff. So right off the bat, you can click on a new chat and it can speak in the tone of your company. It can
Right.
produce content. And this is great for digital marketing because it's kind of low
Right.
stake. As long as you double
Right.
check it, I'm not really worried about the data being taken. It's already all on my website about my
Yeah,
brand.
and I don't think the integration side of things is there, and the trust
Right,
has to rise considerably before it will be. But
right.
I definitely can see it in the future making integrations and a lot of those hard things that it just takes a lot of work to figure out a lot easier to actually get done.
Right. So for an example, for something like that, I could literally with one prompt open up the brand bot. I have Project Fresh as my brand, so we do AI
Right.
consulting, digital marketing, all this kind of stuff. So I made the prototype for my brand, and now I'm helping small businesses incorporate these things. But you can literally say, "Give me an analysis of my brand versus this brand," and paste in the link. It already knows everything about you. It goes off and crawls that entire web presence, comes back with ways that you're similar, ways you're different. So there's really some interesting business applications. The truth of the matter is there's really two ways to look at these assistants or chatbots as they've been called in the past. There's the internal use, which is an
Hmm.
example that I just gave for your marketing team. But
Right.
you have the very department and even role specific assistants that are trained really to help streamline the processes down to an individual. But then, obviously, and where maybe there's a little more interest with your listeners, is there's
Right.
the public facing assistants and chatbots.
Right.
And so that's a huge market right now for putting embedding. And I wouldn't use custom GPTs for this. I might use their OpenAI's API, but there's lots of really good chatbot creators that give you a little bit more
Right.
granular control. And that's important because it's one thing when you're dealing internally, checking some facts or whatever, but when you're starting to deal with customers, you can get into some hairy situations if your assistant chatbots are not well designed.
Misinformation, yeah.
So you can be very specific. Now there's ways of uploading your content, your databases, and really making it pull from that information. So there's proper practices for doing that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that everything's accounted for. And I don't know if you saw recently there was an article that Chevy of Watsonville,
Hmm.
California,
Yeah.
had a total issue with their chatbot. Did you see
Oh
that?
no. What
Oh,
happened? No.
so a curious coder went to Chevy thinking about buying a new truck and noticed that the chatbot, the forward-facing customer chatbot, was built with ChatGPT. So
Hmm.
he started playing with it, and sure enough, he could get it off topic very easily. So once he saw that, he started posting some pictures on social media about how it could be used in a fun way. And before you know it, the internet got a hold of it, and suddenly they
Oh
were getting this
no.
Chevy chatbot to do all sorts of things like that Chevy probably wasn't too happy about, like write the Communist Manifesto out, do all sorts of crazy things. Well, in the pinnacle of what happened with the Chevy of Watsonville chatbot is one of the things it would do was get you a price and actually guarantee that price.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, and so this one hacker type, I think he's just messing around. He got the chatbot to get his information and agree to selling him a new Chevy Tahoe for $1.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, so talk about a e-commerce, initiative, AI, initiative gone super awry. Chevy was very red-faced. The guy was like, "Well, obviously I don't really want the thing for $1, but you maybe should hire a team that's a little bit more experienced."
Yeah, it sounds like that wasn't quite under control for sure. Yeah, so what chat I think is definitely a big one for AI too. I think rewriting of content can be a very big one again.
Yeah.
Touching on that for sure. But I also see, a lot of functionality from the idea of being able to take that picture of that product and put it into a different situation or background or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I want to just finish because you reminded me on one thing with that idea of, say you have two brands but the same
right,
products, but you want to really appeal to a different audience
right,
in the two different brands, right? Or even just launch a new brand that appeals to a target audience, but really is all sort of the same products. You can take the product database, give your bot, even in this case, the custom GPT is even like I create could do this, where you
right.
could process a whole spreadsheet of all those products and give them all new descriptions intended to
Wow.
speak in the tone of your target audience. So before you know it, it could even have a new name and a new description. You have a whole new database for an entirely new forward-facing brand,
Oh, that's great.
right? So you can
Yeah.
imagine that even with just the smallest little thing, you could really play around. But I want to get to your point. Yeah, so the media side, the visual media side of things is moving super quickly. And now it's really beginning. It started with imagery. And I don't know if you saw like just a couple of years ago where Midjourney was. Midjourney is the industry standard.
Yeah.
And to date, it's been all, you'd had to use it through something called Discord, which is a kind of difficult thing to
Yeah,
use
I've used
for
it.
most
Yeah.
people, right? Like it's not user friendly. Well, they're now launching version 6 and they're beginning to roll out a web version, which is a huge deal.
Nice.
A lot of times people would use Dolly and stuff like that, which is not as good because it's easy to use. And so now Midjourney's rolling that out. So that's for amazing imagery. They're starting to add new tools all the time. There's other. They're also starting to train models on video, which recently has been. And this is okay for ads, but like a lot of slow pans, like moving hair, no real lip syncing,
Hmm.
no real extended scenes. So it's been cool, but it's been limited, and they're
Right.
beginning to send those things properly sync lips. So for example, with speaking of which, there's a platform called HeyGen and HeyGen.com, and it can take a static image of you, and it can then you can put in a script. You can actually even clone your voice, so it can put in a script and sell a product.
Hmm.
And you just ran this through. They even have an API. You created these avatars, and it even actually gives head intonations like this. So as I'm speaking, it
Oh,
takes the
wow.
image and does this, does perfect lip syncing. Here's the kicker. You can actually do it in any language. Maybe not any language. I don't know about some, African
Now,
dialects,
now
but yeah,
I
guess
think I
what?
saw
It
this.
sounds like you and it's lip syncs in the other language.
Didn't your co-host do some of this to
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah.
And
Guys,
actually I did a Christmas card and it
yeah.
was a Christmas special and I did weird traditions from all around the world that was lip synced to me speaking other
Oh,
languages.
that's awesome. And what was that called? Hey Jen?
Hey, Jen. And actually, the truth of the matter is, at this level, when we're filling a full frame, you can kind of tell something's a little off. But as soon as somebody's an avatar, like you see in a lot of ecom, an
Right.
avatar in the bottom corner, it's pretty indistinguishable,
Right.
honestly. So people are doing this in all sorts of ways for YouTube, automated YouTube videos, instructional things, automated sales videos. So it's pretty impressive. Imagine, you can write a script because people love faces. So
Right.
imagine, a product, you just feed that product description into a HeyGen API. You've got a
Right.
little avatar for every one of your products, selling it in some more animated way than just a regular sales page, and without
Right.
having to pay an actor for 1,000 products.
Yeah, I I'm really excited too. And what was the name of your podcast again? Just so we intelligent gents.
Yeah, the intelligence, like as in
Okay.
gentleman, AI report. And so it's theintelligenceai.com, all
Hmm.
one word. And you can find us. We only got a couple of episodes out because we're just launching it. So these are pre-launch episodes, and we're going to begin having guests in February. But we are so
How
excited
long are
about it.
your episodes right now?
They're like 45 minutes, and we cut them up into shorts too.
Yeah.
But once we have guests, we'll probably round out at the hour, just a typical longer format.
Guys, I'm telling you, this, I have watched one of them already, and it was a lot of fun. Like, they were reviewing some of these video tools and showing some of the different things that they can do, and it's really mind-blowing uh
Yeah,
that these tools are coming into play. And honestly, the people that embrace the things that work well, I think, are going to have a key advantage moving forward when it comes to everything from content to marketing materials. Now, there
yeah,
are some of those discrepancies sometimes where it'll move letters around and stuff like that. But just even ideation, getting a great idea, I will take some time, a synonym. For instance, one of the best ones is I actually gave Cart Consultant their motto from taking a phrase that I liked and putting it into Chat GPT and asked it for 20 synonyms basically of that phrase, and it came back with expertise is the difference. And I loved it. There was 20 of them, and that one
cool.
just popped out. I was like, that's so good. That's it. That's the message, and so I think for ideation, there's not many things that are better other than maybe sitting around with a couple of geniuses.
Yeah, and I can say it's even a pain in the butt to like do a lot of this stuff. So now you can whip up a sales page like with my brand bot, which I'm actually doing a course for it right now, as well as building them for clients. You can find out more at shameless plug projectfresh.com. But the reason I bring it up is because you can create a sales page in no time now. You say, hey, this is my target audience. This is their problem. Here's my product that I have to solve their issue. It's a sort of, there's a typical psychology behind a good sales page.
Right.
And it can knock it out right there as a first draft in your company's tone. And then, like you say, do some of the real boring stuff, like look into their emotional needs that keep them up at night because they have this problem. Now to create a whole FAQ section that appeals to those primal emotions so that you can
Right.
and before you got a great stage. And doing some of that like real pain in the butt work is why AI is here and so helpful to help us out. And
Right.
also when you start to combine tools, just like you say, some of the visuals, you can now take imagery, you can refine it and make it super high res with new tools called Magnific. If you've got a grainy product image, you can run it through Magnific. It does amazing stuff. Sometimes too detailed, but at least to make things better. And then also you can even then bring that into something like Runway ML, which can add motion to images. And I've seen some amazing mashups of multiple tools. And I think that's where the real skilled people are
Right.
emerging. Not masters of just one all in one solution. They're bringing multiple tools into the workflow.
Well, and it's definitely, things. For instance, one thing I love to do, and we're about to be out of time, but I wanted to throw this in here. I use it a lot, like if I'm building a website, because I build both WordPress and e-commerce websites. But like yesterday, I had a website I was building for actually one of the metal brothers from our men's group, and I literally took a video I had of him talking about his experience, and I ripped the text file, the subtitles from it, put it into Chat GPT, and I said, format a website concept with an outline of how you would lay it out to express this, this, and this, and then boom, here's the script. Man, it
Yeah,
was so detailed. It was beautiful. I
great.
sent it to him. I told him what I did, and I was like, I love this, and it's not always that way. Sometimes you'll want to move things around, but it gives you a lot of things, I think, from a very logical standpoint. And
Yeah.
for that reason, I love it for planning and ideating. So, well, Douglas.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like that, you just said it totally, like, especially with verbose clients, you can take a meeting, even if it's one of these meeting recording tools, you can pull out all sorts of amazing stuff,
Right.
create a sales landing page, create then a video script, create a podcast episode that supports that product, create a whole digital marketing campaign with drip emails, with social
Right.
media posts for the week that promotes that product. I mean, really, the list is endless if you think about it as a workflow.
Absolutely. And making your life better, making it easier, figuring out, how to get there faster. When I was in support at Big Commerce, I always used to tell people it's not about how good of a support rep I am. It's about how fast I can get to the information. So,
Yeah.
well, we are at the end of the podcast, so it's shameless plug time. So please, let us know where we can find you, Douglas. If we want to work with you, if we have needs around AI, where do we get a
Yeah.
hold of you?
Well, first of all, this has been so much fun. I can't believe that we're already out of time. It went so
Yeah.
quickly. But so the two main projects that I have right now is one's more professional, one's more fun. So I'll start with the fun, and that's the Intelligence AI report. So the intelligenceai.com. It's really great because we're talking about creativity, productivity. We're trying to appeal to the early to medium AI user, but it's also, we want it to be like fun that your mom would enjoy it. And so we've
Right.
got tools, we've got news, we've got banter. We're wearing tuxedos. I mean, what more could you want from a podcast? And then I would say on the professional level, projectfresh.com is my web branding, digital marketing, and AI consultancy website. And so you can go on there, learn about what we do. We do a lot of right now automations, talking about workflow automations.
Mhm.
Also, as it applies to digital marketing, sales, all those sort of things, as well as now these custom AI assistant chatbots, both
Mhm.
internal for team use and then external for client customer support, and that kind of thing. So those are a couple of ways. But the truth of the matter is, too, we've got a macro level on a lot of different business tools right now. And I
Right.
always say to clients, maybe this is a good place to end. If you're scared about AI, don't worry about the technology just yet. The first step is to figure out the bottleneck in your workflows. Like, where is the
Right.
pain? What's the thing that you wish was easier? That curiosity is the place to start with, because there's probably already a tool. And if not, it's coming soon that
Yeah.
solves that problem. But the first thing you need to do is remove yourself a little bit from the situation,
I
figure out
agree.
the pain in the butt, and then start to look for the solution.
Absolutely. Back up, look at it, look at the tools necessary and the tools that are available, and go for it. So
That's right.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Douglas. It was great to have you on here, and hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Thanks, Jeremy. Such a fun podcast.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thank
You
you
bet.
for watching the e-commerce Redneck Show. We're so excited to bring this to you, hopefully giving you lots of good information about e-commerce as it relates to you. If you're interested in working with me, simply go to cartconsultant.com and schedule a preliminary call for us to evaluate your needs and see how we can help you. I look forward to doing many more episodes and hopefully being a staple in your LinkedIn and YouTube feed. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Sherman County cutie with a little bit of down home. Likes her lime with a splash of so cold. If you know what I'm talking about.